Rusame reader, Rusame, and today I will be reading to you from Everlasting War by Cake. Before we get into this chapter, I have no idea what any of these languages are except for Russian, so all languages except Russian, I'm just going to say the English translation, if I can find it. There is one in here that I have no idea what it means, and Translation Dude isn't there in the comments section, so I'm kinda, up the creek without a paddle. That being said, now on to Chapter 8. Chapter 8. Murder. Mama, where's Father? Don't worry about it, Latvia, dear. Go find Estonia. I'm sure she'll play with you. The little girl nodded and ran off, leaving the mother alone. The mother looked around the room, squinting when the light from the large windows passed and met her eyes. She wore a white silk dress that had gold and blue flowers around her chest and the rest of the dress. The top of her dress hung a bit low, exposing the top of her chest, and puffy sleeves hung off her shoulders. She had diamond-like jewels embedded in her dress, earrings, and necklace. In fact, they were probably all diamonds. She had blonde hair tied up in a bun, allowing it around her neck and shoulders to be exposed. She had a flag, one comprising of golden yellow background and an off-centered bright red-colored cross. She had silk gloves pulling her look together, as she had taken her crown off earlier and left it on her throne.
Привітання, мама. Російська гвардія вернулася додому, але Росія і Естонія є ще у дорозі.
That roughly translates to, Hello, Mom. Russia's guard returned home, but Russia and Estonia are still on their way. The woman turned to see a much younger girl, her face encompassed in worry.
Ён сказав, що Росія накіравала його раней, каб знайти батюшку, але сказав, що причина конфіденційна.
That roughly translates to, he said Russia sent him ahead earlier to find Father, but said the reason is confidential. Tell him he is in the throne room. She replied, allowing the girl to leave and let the mother be alone once again. She sat down on her chair and allowed herself to lose her composure, leaning her head back. She was still tired, worn out, and she was practically done with life. Mom, come quick, it's important. A male called from down the hall. The woman dreaded the call, but obliged anyway, getting up and leaving the room, heading towards the voice. She kept a brisk, steady pace as she approached the throne room, where her son called her from. When she walked in, she saw it. Blood everywhere. And there he was, Russia's royal guard, standing over the now-dead person, her husband.
Я выполнил поручение, полученное от Его Величества, наследного принца России.
Was all he said, keeping bearing. That roughly translates to, I have fulfilled orders I received from His Majesty, Crown Prince Russia.
Мама, мне так шкада, я не хотел, каб гэта адбылося.
That roughly translates to, Mom, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. The woman heard footsteps behind her, but she didn't turn around. Her husband was dead. She forced herself to feel remorse, although she was glad he was dead.
Я новый царь Московии.
A voice announced, stepping forward past the woman. That roughly translates to, I am the new Tsar of Muscovy.
Его правление террора закончилось, пришло время это изменить. Украина, объявите об этом, пожалуйста. Я говорю, что моя коронация через 3 дня.
That roughly translates to, his reign of terror is over. It's time to change this. Ukraine, announce this, please. I say my coronation is in 3 days. Russia! How could you? He was your father! She exclaimed, stepping forward to her son. Moyova, zanyem pojimo, was his reply, not turning around. That roughly translates to, we both know why. He grabbed the crown off his dead father's head and placed it on his, turning to face his family. There was no sign of regret, happiness, or sadness in his face. It sent shivers down the woman's spine, causing her to step back a bit.
Мой первый указ – немедленно положить конец этой войне. Это продолжается слишком долго. Пора дать нашему народу шанс на жизнь.
That roughly translates to, my first decree is to end this war immediately. It's gone on for far too long. It's time to let our people get a chance at life. Your Highness, Tsarina Kalmar, it's best if we leave. You should be having your child soon. We don't want to risk it here. Kalmar turned to face a shorter woman who had her hands folded together, her head dipped down. A little tight bun was put together on the back of her head, with a braid wrapping around it. She had dark, practically black hair, much like Russia, which hinted at his Asian heritage. She wore a yellow dress, which resembled that of the other maids, but at least hers had color. All right, thank you, Philippines. We'll leave now. The two left the throne room quickly. Just as quickly they made their way to the nursery. Sweden knew Philippines would pull her away in order to save her mental health, but she couldn't be more grateful for it. Her child wouldn't be due for another month, but she didn't care. Once they reached the nursery, Kalmar immediately sat down in a chair and relaxed herself. From now on, her life would be extremely stressful and non-stressful at the same time. And that's the end of this chapter. And I'm gonna let you know, the Belarusian threw me so off guard, and I absolutely did not have fun trying to get that properly translated. I don't like the TTS there, but it's there because it was a language I could recognize. And I didn't have to go deep diving to find it out. I couldn't figure out the other ones, that's why they're in English. But still. Well, I did my best here. There's going to be a disclaimer at the, beginning of the binge comp about that too, because, Chapter 8, there's no TTS except for a couple languages that I could recognize. If I cannot recognize the language, and I cannot figure it out through good reason, I'm reading it in English. I think I'm going to make that a rule now. So you provide me the language, or I read it in English. If I can't figure it out through reason. But that being said, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, night, or whatever it is for you. Just have a great day. And I will see you tomorrow.